There is a kind of fear that never quite arrives and never quite leaves. Not panic, just a hum, a low background sense that something is wrong or about to be. A tightness in the chest at 2 a.m, a dread before an email you haven't even opened. You check the phone, you check the news, you check the room. Nothing is chasing you, and still the body will not stand down. And because nothing is chasing you, you reach the obvious conclusion that the problem is you, that you are broken, anxious, wired wrong, that everyone else got the calm setting and you got the one that won't switch off. But that hum is not a malfunction. It is one of the oldest, most carefully engineered systems you own, doing precisely the job it was built to do. The trouble isn't that your alarm is too sensitive. It's that you are living in a building where someone keeps lighting matches. And to see why, you have to know what the alarm was actually for. Picture an ancestor on the grassland, and a sudden rustle in the dry grass. It is almost always the wind. Almost. But the two mistakes she could make are not equal. If she bolts from the wind, she loses a few seconds and a little dignity. If she ignores a leopard, she loses everything. She leaves no descendants. So evolution did the math, and it is brutally simple. When one error is cheap and the other is fatal, you build the system to make the cheap mistake. Again and again and again. You flinch at 100 sticks to survive the one snake. The psychiatrist Randolph Nesse gave this a name, the smoke detector principle. A smoke alarm that shrieks at burnt toast isn't broken. It's working. The false alarms are simply the price of never missing the fire. Your anxiety is a smoke detector, tuned over millions of years to go off easily, because a false alarm cost a wasted moment, and silence could cost your life. But that alarm was built for danger that was sudden and physical and rare. A threat that flared and then passed. And then we built a world where it never passes. Inside the brain, you can almost watch it happen. The neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades tracing the circuit, a fast, low road that runs from your senses to a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala, and fires the body's defenses before the thinking. Part of you has any idea what is going on. Hard up, muscles tight, attention locked, in milliseconds, no permission asked. And here, LeDoux is careful, in a way the internet usually isn't. He insists the amygdala is not a fear center. It detects a threat and fires the response. But the dread you actually feel is something your conscious brain assembles afterward on top of the alarm. The alarm and the feeling are not the same thing. Now, honesty matters here, and this is exactly where the comforting version of this story goes too far. Saying anxiety is natural does not mean it is harmless, or that it cannot break. A smoke detector can genuinely fail and scream in an empty room all day. That is what an anxiety disorder is, and it is real, and it is treatable, and it deserves far more than a shrug and an evolutionary fun fact. The honest claim is narrower. A background hum of vigilance in a world that feels full of threat is very often a working system, not a broken self. So if the alarm was always a little oversensitive, why does it feel so much louder now? Because somebody worked out how to make money every time it goes off. Your threat system has one reliable tell. It cannot ignore bad news, and an entire economy now runs on that fact. When researchers analyzed tens of thousands of real headlines, tested on millions of readers, the pattern was stark. Every single negative word in a headline, fear, war, death, raised the odds that you would click by around 2%. Each one. Positive words did the opposite. Bad news, online, gets shared nearly twice as often as good. So, the feed learned. Not because anyone hates you, but because your attention's the product, and your ancient alarm is the cheapest way to seize it. Fear holds the eye. Outrage spreads. And the system that evolved to save your life from one leopard is now milked all day by 1,000 tiny ones that live in your pocket, each real enough to fire the circuit, none close enough to fight or flee.